This evening, just before the puja, a few of us were over at visiting Mary Curran and our neighbor. And as most people know, she's very ill and dying, or getting close to death. We're all dying. But she is getting close to death, and she was not feeling particularly, not at all well this evening. So the meditation that I led for us all was a meditation on loving kindness. I think it's really important to recognize the power of loving kindness, the kind of strength that comes from turning attention to that quality within the heart that is imbued with kindness, with compassion, with a certain tender, loving quality. There's a tendency to think that it may be kind of wishy-washy, or it may be kind of weak, or it may be kind of, or even kind of smarmy. To think of loving kindness, even at a time when ourselves or others are experiencing pain, discomfort, suffering. But I think it's important to recognize that actually this is a quality of real strength, quality of real firmness and stability, and a quality of there's a quality of stillness that comes within the heart when we realize that when there's that inclination towards kind of warmth, brightness, care, rather than the kind of like a striking out with aversion, or striking out with resistance, wanting to push away, wanting to reject. There's an inherent weakness and inherent and agitation in the mind that's just trying to overwhelm, overcome, beat something down. And particularly when we're experiencing difficulty or pain, whether it's physical or mental, the the tendency is to try to push it away, or to try to overcome it with say overwhelm it somehow. And really, the only way to not be overwhelmed by pain or suffering, again, as if whether it's physical or mental, is to come to a place within ourselves where we can encompass and be present with the quality of pain, or quality of frustration, or quality of suffering. So that inclining the heart to loving kindness is is where we can find our true strength. So that to consciously bring attention to the present moment, to the feeling, whatever it is, and to bring up into consciousness the thought, as we do in the chanting, may I abide in well-being. And similarly, following that chant, the sort of, may I be free from affliction. May I be free from hostility. May I be free from ill will. May I be free from anxiety. May I maintain well-being in myself. To use those phrases to allow it to resonate in the heart with the feeling of loving kindness. Allow that feeling within the heart to generate, or to establish itself, or to expand out from the heart. And this is where one experiments with whatever is going to work. And at first, of course, one doesn't feel it at all, really. I mean, sometimes, one can be feeling, either illness, physically, be depressed or frustrated mentally, and at first it doesn't feel like much of anything. But using that just the phrases and attention and drawing into the heart, it's like just a little spark. It's like this lighter here, which at first is just it's just a little spark, and nothing much is happening. and you think it's never going to work, but then something comes up. And it's just, and you can really, it's not that different from the heart itself, where you think, oh, just saying these phrases is nothing much, but it's just that little spark, and you keep just bringing attention back to that spark, and it'll start to kindle a feeling. And it's in being attentive to that feeling. So that this quality of loving kindness, allowing it to come into awareness, allowing it to establish itself, nurturing it, and using the body, the mind, together as a focal point. It's like softening the body, being attentive to the feelings within the body. It's like, at first we might start with our teeth, our jaws clenched, our teeth grinding, may I abide in well-being. It's just be attentive to that. That is, okay, softening. And that's beginning recognizing that it's really what we need, desire, cherish. I mean, nobody cherishes suffering. Nobody sort of delights in pain. So that it's bringing that forward into the mind and softening. Because and physically one can use the body, even when the body is uncomfortable. One can still sort of encompass feelings of discomfort physically with that quality of loving kindness and that wish for well-being. The quality of the expansive quality of loving kindness and compassion. It's like the nature of those states of mind, as one of the chants that we do, the abundant, exalted, immeasurable. Those are naturally, that is what how loving kindness and compassion, or these divine abidings, that's in their nature to have that expansive quality. It's in their nature to be uplifting and sort of immeasurable in their effect. It usually be that because we're not attentive to it, that it say it shrinks or collapses in itself. You can feel the mind and the heart sort of collapsing in itself all the time. We go to the negative, the critical, the suspicious, the fearful, and the heart collapses in itself. It shrinks, feels hard. it's like listening to the news on radio or seeing it on television. You feel the mind collapsing. It's just one more disaster, one more. So it's important that it's not that attention needs to be brought to loving kindness, to compassion. It's just without that attention, the nature of our own habit tends to go to shrinking, creating boundaries, barriers, protecting oneself. What one feels is protecting oneself. But it's really when we direct our attention to those qualities of loving kindness that we're really protecting ourselves, really looking after ourselves, and to take the time on a regular basis, especially in these days where things are, say, politically and socially, the times are tense. There's sort of suspicion and fear all around, and one picks that up, or one consciously engages in it. Sometimes, but even when we don't say want to get caught in the negativity, still it sort of just because it's around, it's easy to be drawn in. So it's important to actually take the time and care, sort of a remedial measures of balancing, to direct attention to the generating and establishing of loving kindness. So to bring that attention into the heart of, may I abide in well-being, and to be attentive to the feeling that comes from those words. And to, as I said, it's a little spark that can be nurtured, can be kind of held softly, gently, so that it doesn't just sort of blow out. And to allow it to gain a stability, that quality of just considering of that directing of attention within one's own heart, of establishing well-being, establishing and allowing the freedom of freedom from hostility, freedom from ill will, freedom from anxiety, and just letting it roll through consciousness, roll through the emotional tone of the heart, allowing it to sort of resonate within that sphere of awareness. And what one finds is that it starts to encompass and surround, frame our experience of the world around us. So that even if we have feelings of suffering or frustration or experiences of pain and discomfort physically, that it's sort of the frame of reference shifts from that being the focal point that one absorbs into. It's an experience which is one is clearly aware of, but it's surrounded by and encompassed by that intention and inclination towards loving kindness, compassion, of that wish for well-being, for security, so that it changes its whole, the power of it changes. Say the power of pain changes, the power of depression, frustration changes. It's there, but it has a different texture, it has a different tone, it has a different weight within the heart. And you recognize that we can be attentive to different things. And so just when we pay attention to say that which is associated with negativity, unwholesomeness, the tone of the mind becomes unwholesome, unsatisfying. Whereas when we direct attention, and it doesn't mean that the mind doesn't drift back, or it isn't sort of that it isn't mixed, but it's sort of one recognizes that intention, recognizes the inclination and what feels important to you, so that when we're recognizing that those qualities of associated with well-being, with wholesome states of mind, with peace, brightness, warmth, gentleness, kindness, all of those are what we truly cherish and what feel satisfying. So it's sort of reminding ourselves of that. On a certain level we know that, but if we're not attentive to it, then it's easy to forget. It's like the friendship of somebody who you've had a very close friendship with, but for some reason you've been separated for some time, and sort of reuniting with them, meeting with them again, and whereas sort of life went on quite normally, ordinarily, but then meeting up with them again, one is sort of one's reminded of the sort of the loveliness of that association, the loveliness of that friendship. the same goes, with states of mind of brightness and well-being, like loving kindness. It's easy to forget that these are sort of our old friends and our sort of cherished acquaintances that sometimes we forget about. Trying to remind ourselves and direct attention to bringing these up. It's interesting that, say, like in Thailand, the meditation instruction, or in the commentaries of the meditation manuals that go way back into shortly after the time of the Buddha, they all encourage, it's like the beginning of any meditation, and on a regular basis, to direct attention to spreading of loving kindness, bringing up of the qualities of kindness and compassion, because they are intrinsically expansive and bright states of mind. The heart is inclined to a feeling of spaciousness and well-being. So it's like as I said in the chant that we do for the Brahma Viharas, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, and it's sort of an inherent quality of loving kindness, of compassion, or of inclining toward the wholesome, inclining toward those states of caring and gentleness. Of course, it's opposite is sometimes what we say is abandoned, exhausted, miserable. It's just and you see the difference of how it feels and how that one feels in relationship to others in the world. It's that feeling of abundance is one of as I started talking about in the first step, that is a quality of strength. There's a strength within the heart that is able to live in the world and be a part of the engagement and interaction with the world that is not overwhelmed and is not shaken. So that quality of loving kindness it's something which is really looking after oneself, looking after the heart in a way which gives this kind of strength and stability in order to interact with the world. Because that feeling, like abandoned, that sense of separation, a sense of being impinged on and overwhelmed, one's sort of either trying to fight the world back, or feeling overwhelmed by the world. When there's So that quality of attention to loving kindness and well-being, gives it a quality of stability within which one can engage and interact with the world in a positive way, in a way of both helping and assisting others, and looking after oneself. But it really has to start from looking after oneself. And sometimes there's that a fear of almost sort of like a fear of indulgence, to be too attentive to oneself, to like, I don't really deserve to feel, I should be looking after others, so I shouldn't really be concerned with my own happiness or my own well-being, which is not really true. In the sense, if one isn't really attentive to the well-being of the heart, to be established in a quality of abundance within the heart, loving kindness within the heart, and directed to oneself, and established within oneself, then it's difficult to engage and interact with the world in a kind way, in a warm way, in a way of generating happiness and well-being. So it's important to draw that into that attention into the heart. May I abide in well-being. Really try to establish that quality, to generate a feeling of well-being in freedom from affliction, in freedom from suffering, in freedom from ill will, freedom from anxiety. May I maintain well-being in myself. May I live in security, free from fear. And so you can just experiment with yourself. Well, what is it that allows that spark to arise in the heart, and then to generate it, to nurture it? As that's established, then one can generate it externally. But don't be too quick to direct attention outwards. Really turn it internally so that feeling of loving kindness, of compassion, is well established within the heart. It's like, make sure you have something to share before you disperse it. So this quality of loving kindness is something which is it's helpful to create a familiarity within the heart. Say now, when we're strong, healthy, minds are clear, rather than waiting for a time when things are really difficult. So it's like just really familiarizing the heart with those qualities, so that they're easier to access when there is difficulty, because it's just it is say our minds are we're creatures of habit, so that cultivating those habits which are really skillful, which are really wholesome and beneficial, that really nurture us in ways that allow that those feelings of stability and strength to be well established. I'll offer that for reflection this evening. Sadhu